Jonathan Good, 23 West Main Street, Greentown, PA, for parcel number 00081.001, 16 Springwater Boulevard, Greentown, PA. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to our solicitor.
Thank you. All right, we're here to hear an appeal for 5 different items. First is a variance for section 1509 of the zoning ordinance. Next is a special exception for section 1510 of the zoning ordinance. 3, review of the decision of the zoning officer for section 1508, subsection C, D, and or G. 4th, a validity challenge based on substantive grounds for section 1508, subsection A. And finally, a validity challenge based upon procedural grounds for sections 1508, subsection B. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to the zoning officer as there is an appeal to the enforcement action. Obviously, Mr. Good, on behalf of council, will have the burden to meet some of those substantive challenges.
Excuse me, before we go on, can we turn the lights on in the back of the building? I mean, back of the room?
I think it's that switch right there by the door.
So that.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Now,
Council. Donald Karpovich for the record on behalf of East Union Township. We're here regarding the portion of the appeal that involves the enforcement notice that was issued July 7, 2025 by the zoning officer. So we're aware under 616.1D of the MPC, because it's an appeal of the enforcement notice, the township has the burden of proof to go forward to show a violation of the ordinance. We're prepared to do that. By the way, 2 witnesses today. Seated to the left of me is Daniel Danchinson. He's the complainant, and seated to the right of me is the zoning officer, Greg Kurtz. At this time, I'd like to call Mr. Danchinson.
Can you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, full truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
No, he's going first, and we'll just do one at a time.
Trying to get a direct line of sight. Could you state your line of sight there? She's going to take down everything you say. Could you state your name and address for the record?
Danny Danchison, Brandonville.
And how long have you been a resident of East Union Township?
My entire life.
And the good property, the property that's at issue here tonight, are you familiar with that property?
I am.
And how are you familiar with that property?
My company, Marmel Industrial, owns everything around it.
And how long have you owned the property around it?
Since March of 2023.
And prior to March of 2023, would you be familiar with the area where this good property is located?
Yes.
And how is that?
I grew up in that town, and it's not a big town, so I'm familiar with the whole town.
And how old are you?
57.
And you lived there your entire life?
Yes.
And at the time you purchased your property, who did you purchase your property from?
The Marmel Industrial property?
Yes.
It was purchased from the fire company in Shetland.
And is it your testimony here today that that property adjoins the good property?
Yes.
And after you purchased your property, did there come a time that you learned of Mr. Good and doing certain activities on their property?
Well, I personally witnessed them. They take full loads of garbage in and they come out with empty loads, like countless times. I also, during one of many meetings from DEP, one of many meetings with DEP, because they were called to my property, they questioned me about the large quotes.
Just objects on the basis of...
I'm sorry, who are
He
you?
can see you, I'm going to move.
I need to know who you are before.
Sure, Joel Reedy, READY, here for the goods. I'm just going to object on the basis of calling for hearsay testimony as to what DEP said.
Apparently council's not familiar with the zoning hearing, but under 9086, formal rules of evidence don't apply. So given that fact, those formal objections are not permissible in the zoning hearing. And I don't think the question I asked him called for any hearsay. He wasn't testifying as to what DEP was going to say. He testified that he was called to his property with DEP regarding a complaint. Was that your testimony?
Exactly.
And just to clarify our position, rules of evidence do apply to all hearings in the Commonwealth. And to the degree that this is something that we're going to have called for testimony about somebody who's not here, even just as a matter of convenience, having testimony where we're going to try to get into discussions about what somebody else, somewhere else said, is going to lead to all sorts of discussions down a rabbit trail that's not relevant. The question may not have called for something that somebody else said, but it sounds like the answer is going to be there, so that's the basis of our objection.
So his representation is inaccurate. So I called the board's attention to 9086 of the MPC. It says formal rules of evidence shall not apply, but irrelevant, immaterial, or unduly repetitious evidence may be excluded. I'm not talking about hearsay. Formal rules of evidence don't apply. Unless he has a section that rebuts that.
Sure, Chapter 10 of the Rules of Evidence says it does apply, and that was passed later, so that does apply. And to the degree that my objection needs to be phrased and that it's irrelevant and repetitious, we're going to, again, dive into a rabbit hole of what people who are not present from the state may or may not have said in representations. So I didn't object to them saying that DEP came out. I do object to trying to get into some conversation about people who are not here. If that was important testimony, they should have brought here.
All right, I'm going to overrule the objection. I don't think it was submitted for the truth of the matter. It doesn't matter what DEP said or did. We're here just to talk about the issues at hand. So let's move along from DEP and let's talk about why we're here today for the specific zoning ordinance. But it's overruled.
Okay, that's fine. I was questioned about why I have such large quantities of garbage stored on my property and what appeared to be a burn barrel that was used to burn them. And then I said, well, wait a second. I said to myself, wait a second. That's not my property. That's in the middle of my property, and it belongs to Jonathan Good.
So that was the first time you were aware of the condition of the property? DEP brought it to your attention, is that correct?
Yes.
And after that, did you have any calls from anybody else regarding that particular property and the activities that were occurring on the property by Jonathan Good?
Yes.
And what were they?
Late one night, like 11, I was watching the news. I get a phone call from one of the truck drivers that was bringing in construction equipment for my tenant that's right next to the Good property. And he said, hey,
I'm going to object, again, on the same basis to the degree that the witness is able to say what he has seen that's relevant to tonight's proceeding. That's what matters, not what he heard from somebody else that somebody else told somebody else. I'm just going to get us quickly into all kinds of discussions about people who are not present.
okay, so the one night I just happened to say to myself, I'm going to go up and check on the property. There was this large fire going on, and I was like, what is that? So after investigating, I could see that, I could hear them talking, the Goods.
So let's go slow just so we clarify for the record. So there was a truck driver that contacted you and alerted you to a condition that was occurring on the Good property, is that correct?
Yes.
And then you went out
I
to the
went
Good
out.
property?
Yes.
And what did you observe?
A large fire.
And
I could hear them back there talking, and clearly from being able to see what's on their property from my property, they're burning the garbage. I guess if they burn it, they don't have to pay to dump it. I don't know.
And how many times have you observed them take their truck to the property with garbage on it?
Countless. Dozens.
How many?
Maybe, I'm guessing, but at least 50.
And what type of vehicle do they haul in?
They have a variety of trucks that have trailers attached to the back, and they have like boards on the sides. And
Let me show you a photograph that is going to be entered as part of T2. on page page 2. Council.
The stenographer book is one of the problems to do for the stenographer, right?
Thank you. If you turn to page 2 of that book, we mark it as 2. It's right there. Page 5, 2. I'm going to show you at the bottom of that page, there's 2 photographs. Is that the truck that you observed at the property?
Yes, and others.
And that particular truck, what does it say on it?
It says JMG Hauling LLC and then the phone number.
And is it trucks such as that that you saw the goods drive into their property filled with garbage?
Yes, all the time.
And when it leaves the property, it no longer has the garbage?
No, they store it on the property.
And is all the property they haul in being stored on the property, or does it come out sometimes?
Well, I'm sure they take some of the stuff that they can't burn, like say a washing machine, I'm sure they take that to the dump, but I see the truck go in with garbage and it comes out empty.
And have you observed them burning on the property on more than one occasion?
Yes,
About how many occasions?
a handful. I mean, I'm not up there looking for them, and maybe they go there at night more than they do in the day.
And this particular property, it's next to your property and you could see it from your property, is that correct?
Yes.
So everything on that property is in plain view from your property?
When there's not a lot of leaves on the trees, yes.
And could you describe to the board the condition of that property that you observed?
The good property?
Yeah.
It's a dump.
And when you mean dump, what could you describe it?
It's got piles of garbage and just, they were raising chickens there a couple months ago.
I'll show you the other photographs that were taken with you too, starting with page 2. Could you describe what's depicted in those photographs?
Pile, heaps of garbage. That looks like an upside down washing machine or a dryer or something. And then just all stacked up garbage.
And go to page 3.
Same garbage, a foundation from a house that used to be here, but I don't know what happened to the house. That's a burn pit. You can see the foundation of the house, and now they made a burn pit besides the burn barrel.
And of the 4 photos on page 3, you're at the bottom right-hand corner, is that correct?
Yeah, that's like, you can tell, it's obvious what it is. And then above that one is the chicken coop.
What, is there chickens in that thing? Or?
Not as of recently, but there were.
And the next page, page 4.
Same thing, garbage, chicken coop.
And do you know if anybody lives on the property?
No, there used to be a house, but the house isn't there, so I don't know what happened to the house. But the foundation is still there.
So nobody resides on the property, they just use it to store garbage?
I think there was a camper or a trailer there, but I don't know if it's still there.
And how about on page 5?
Yeah, just garbage, chicken coop. They have a trailer, one of their trailers that they haul the garbage with is there. They have a carport that's in front of the chicken coop. It's like they put up a carport.
Do you know if they received any permits to do any of that work?
I have no idea.
How about page 7?
I see a burn barrel. I can't tell what that is. It's either garbage containers or chicken coop or something.
How about page 8?
On the top, it's all the chicken coop, whatever that you call it, and a carport.
You see lumber on there, it appears to be new lumber.
Can you say that again? I didn't.
I see lumber in those photographs, it appears to be new lumber. Is that what does it appear to be?
Yeah, it looks like the outer perimeter of the chicken pens. And there's a carport, and these bottom pictures are of a gate, but the gate's not there any longer. They put the gate up on my property, I removed it.
Page 9 has a picture of the posting and the hearing. Whose property is that posting?
It looks like it's up. It looks like it's up closer to where what they actually own.
Anything you want to add that I didn't ask?
I just do not want the responsibility from any agencies about burning garbage that I don't have a permit or a transfer station license or whatever. I don't want the responsibility of it.
So your testimony here today, you became a complainant because DEP brought the condition of your property to your attention.
Yes.
And then truck drivers who were hauling freight from your property called you.
Yes.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Cross-examination?
Thank you. Sir, my name is Joel Reedy. I represent the goods in this matter. A couple of questions. You tore down the gate here on page 5 today, is that correct?
Pardon?
You tore down the gate that's on page 5 today, correct?
No, over the weekend.
Over the weekend, okay.
Yes.
And that gate's been there for about 10 years, right?
I don't know. I don't know how long it's there.
You said it's on your property, it's actually on the easement, correct? That all properties use in that area?
Well, regardless of where they think they have an easement, I've never seen an easement, but it's my property that the gate was on.
Okay, but it is
100% my property.
okay, but it is a property that there's an easement where other owners, including the goods, have a right to use and cross, correct?
Well, no one would use that. I'm not, first off, I am not aware of any easement. I don't have any verbiage or language in my deed or paperwork when I purchased it from Citizens Fire Company saying that there's an easement.
Let me back up. You're aware that people drive up that space that's on page 5 there, and specifically the goods use that dirt road all the time, correct?
Yes.
Okay, they drive up and that gate is on the spot that's leading to their property, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
But they could have put that gate on their property. They didn't have to erect it on my property because they're
Let me
preventing
ask you.
they're preventing me from entering my property.
Let them finish answering this.
I don't think that's really an answer to the question, but let me just ask you this. You're aware that is the easement is right where that gate is where they drive up.
I'm not aware of any
Okay.
easement. And they're preventing me from entering my property by putting a gate on my property.
Your property is zoned what?
Commercial.
Okay. And are you aware of the goods zoning?
I am not.
All right.
Well, I would guess that it was residential because there used to be a house on there.
Okay. You said that you witnessed them burning 50 times.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say I witnessed them burning 50 times.
What did you observe 50 times? What
Them
did you see?
coming in and out of there with garbage, not burning.
How many times have you observed them?
I said around a handful.
What does that mean? 2, 5, 10, 20?
I don't know. Let's just pick 5.
Well, I'd rather not pick. I mean, you're here testifying, saying that the goods,
All right, several.
2, 5, 10.
I don't remember.
Okay. You said that you saw a fire at night from your property.
Yes.
You said that on your property you can't see through the leaves and the trees when it's not fall or
In
winter.
the summertime.
Okay. So when was this? This was in the winter? I
This
take it?
was back, I don't know, March, April, May.
What were they burning?
I guess they were burning
Well,
garbage.
I'd rather you didn't guess, sir. If you don't know, you can say you don't know.
I don't know.
Okay, so you saw a fire that night.
Yes,
You don't know what they were burning.
I do not.
Okay. Any of the other several times that you saw a fire there, did you see what they were burning? And again, I don't want to guess.
No.
You don't know. Okay. You've referenced the DEP. You're not currently in possession of a DEP notice that says that you have to cease doing something on your property, correct?
No.
Okay. You talked about the trash on the property. One of the things you mentioned, I think, several times.
Who do you represent for the record? Are you counsel for the goods?
Said that a couple times, the goods, yeah.
Okay, I didn't hear it.
Yes. You said a couple times that you see chicken coops or chickens on the property, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You're not familiar with anything that's zoning because my clients can't have chickens on the property, are you?
No.
Okay. You said you don't know what they do on the property, is that correct?
I think it's pretty obvious that they store garbage there.
Okay. You're saying it's obvious based on what exactly?
Based on a truck goes in that says JMG hauling filled with garbage and it comes out empty.
Okay. Based on the truck that goes in and out, you're persuaded that they're storing garbage, is that right?
Well, if anyone could see bags of garbage and garbage on the back of the truck and they go in there and they come out empty, I mean, obviously they're storing them there.
Yeah. You're basing this on the circumstance of a truck going in and out, but you haven't inspected the property, right? You haven't ever been on it, right?
Well, my property surrounds it. I've never been on it yet.
Okay. All right. Thanks. I have nothing further.
Yeah, you haven't been on it, but from your property, which
Yeah,
is
I could
that
walk
you-
right up. I could,
You
yeah.
could see them,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
And when they're burning, because the burn pit appears to be within the foundation, how high is that fire?
Well, it was the one night I was like, what? It was high. I can't guess, but it wasn't like at Riverage Lake where they have a little bonfire going in there, making hot dogs on it. It was a big fire.
That's all I have.
The night you observed a big fire, sure, you didn't call the fire department, did you?
No.
Okay. It wasn't that big, right?
Did you ask a question?
I just felt if they were up there having a powwow, they were keeping an eye on it. And I was like, okay.
Nothing further.
Anything further from Mr. Reyes? Thank you. Township?
Call the zoning officer. State your name and
Please
business.
raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
State your name and business address for the record.
Gregory Kurtz Jr., 119 Collier Drive, Sugar Grove, Pennsylvania.
And your position with Eastern Township.
My company is the zoning officer, the building inspector for the township.
And when were you appointed in that role?
The beginning of this year,
And what are your duties included as a zoning officer?
issue zoning permits and follow up on any zoning complaints and zoning results.
And did you receive a complaint regarding the Jonathan Wood property?
Yes.
Who did you receive it from?
Rich Bonnets.
And what's his position with the township?
He is the township code enforcement officer.
And what was the referral in terms of the nature of the complaint?
That there is a lot of garbage and structures on a property located at 16 Springwater Boulevard.
And I'll show you what you marked as a T1 and ask if you can identify that document.
Yes, sir.
And what is it?
It is a timeline of observations and, kind of tracking the violation on that property.
So, and you prepared this in your ordinary course of business?
Yes.
And was this log prepared by you?
Yes.
And let's go through the action. So it's a property violation log for property address 16 Springwater Boulevard. Is that the property that you know to be owned by the Woods?
Yes.
Actually, there was two owners initially, and now there's not. Is that correct?
Correct.
So initially, there was two Woods that owned the property,
Yes.
and they're indicated on T3 on your notice of violation as Christian and Jonathan Good.
Yes.
And then since that time, was the property conveyed by Christian and Jonathan?
Yes.
So, in terms of actions and dates, if we go back to T1, it says May 23rd, 2025. Is that when you were notified by the code officer, Mr. Verbanitz?
Correct.
And did you meet with Mr. Verbanitz?
Yes.
And as a result of that meeting, did Mr. Verbanitz give you certain information that helped you, assist you in your investigation?
Yes.
And what information did he give you?
Photographs of the property.
And those photographs are marked as T2, is that correct?
Correct.
And were you out to the property?
A few times.
And you're familiar with the condition of the property?
Yes.
You heard Mr. Denison testify regarding the condition of the property. Are the complaints he made on the record things that you personally observed in the field?
Yes.
And
Except for fire, I didn't see fire.
okay, you observed garbage, refuse, and junk on the property? Is that how you would classify it? And certain structures on the property?
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
And then as part of your investigation, I see a note in your journal here on June 27th of '05, you interviewed some property owners and neighbors.
Yes.
And what neighbors or property owners did you interview?
We saw some individuals out at the water bottling company, and at that time they stated,
I'm going to object again on the same basis, to the degree to bring in testimony from other witnesses who were not present.
Well, I technically think there's an exception because it was part of his investigation and he was the officer, but that aside, I'm not asking him what the neighbors said. I'm just asking him, one, did he interview neighbors? And two, based on those interviews, what did you conclude?
So I'm going to sustain it and just move on to what Mr. Coker said.
so the neighbors stated they saw...
I'm going to check.
No, so
No, not what the neighbors said.
Yeah.
So you went out, as part of your investigation, you interviewed the neighbors, is that correct?
Yes.
Based on the interviews of the neighbors, what conclusion did you come to?
That there's trash being hauled to the property and burned on the property.
And if we could continue through your log, the next event occurred on July 7th, 2025,
Correct.
and that's, I'm not the dentist pulling your teeth here, just, you prepared the log, tell me what they described.
The notice of violation was prepared, printed out, and mailed regular and certified.
Okay, and then the next line item?
It was actually mailed out on the 9th, July 9th. Then next, on July 24th, we observed the property again, and it was noted there's a new carport on the property installed without permits. On July 25th, we saw that the certified mail was not delivered yet. On August 1st, we received notification that the NOV was delivered via certified mail. August 6th, the attorney for Mr. Good reached out and let our office know that we'd be dropping off an appeal, the enforcement notice. On August 8th, our office received the zoning hearing board application, and we notified the zoning hearing board. On the 18th, spoke with the zoning hearing board solicitor to confirm the details of the hearing and posting requirements. And then on September 5th, my office verified the posting for the zoning hearing board hearing.
So now let's go to T2, and if you could go through the photographs for the board. Start with page 2.
So these pictures appear to be piles of garbage and rubbish. Going to page 3, you can see some type of structure. Structured out of wood and fencing. There's some like a tarp or something over the structure. like there is a,
Stop in there, or?
No, it's not leasehold for him.
We still have more.
looks like there's a photograph of an area that's used for burning. It looks like there appears to be some remnants of garbage.
You weren't there when these photographs were taken?
No, these are taken by the code enforcement officer.
And was there a comment, yes, this was burning? Was there also, stuff laying in there? Like,
Yeah, that's what he's saying, the photograph depicts.
Yeah.
well, you can photograph,
I know, but
if you're not standing there, I don't care what you,
so he testified that he went out to the property, that's why I asked him that first before I discussed what the photographs depict, and he said he observed these conditions in the field. And was that standing on the Danchinson property?
Yes.
And you were out to that property on several occasions, correct? So I guess Mr. Reckler's question was, the description you're giving of the photographs, did you observe those conditions in the
Were you
field
there
when you went out to the
Yes, I
property?
walked out with this.
Right there.
Yeah.
Yep. Page 4.
Page 4, appears to be some building materials and also, another side view of the structure there.
Page 5.
Page 5 are photographs that I did take. These are pictures showing the JMG Holland trailer and also pictures of the fence and picture kind of through the trees of the property.
Page 6.
Page 6 is additional photos of the property. You can see on the top right, you can see there's a carport, building materials, garbage, rubbish. You can see burn barrels, trailer. Page 7, another photograph just depicting the burn barrels and some trailers and structures on the property. Page 8, this was September 5th, and these pictures depict structures on the property, carport, the wooden structure fencing, some building materials, and also the postings for this hearing.
Over the time period they investigated, was there more structures that appeared on the property towards the end of your investigation than there were at the beginning of your investigation?
Yes.
And what structures were they?
That would be the carport.
And does the carport require a zoning permit under the zoning ordinance for East Union Township?
Yes.
And did you obtain a permit for that carport?
No.
As a matter of fact, for any of the structures that are in these photographs, were there ever any permits obtained?
No.
And for the proposed use of the property, was there any permits obtained for the use of the property?
No.
And I'm going to show you, let's go to the aerial photographs first, which is page 22, 23, and 24.
what's the distance between when their decision's property and his? Looks like quite a distance, because I know the firehouse would be at least 100 feet.
It's next door, it's adjoining. The Danchinson property adjoins it.
Yeah, but it's wood between his cleared property and the property in question.
Oh, so you wanted to know the distance between the cleared property and the property in question. So to answer your first question, the distance between Danchinson's property and this property,
Yeah.
they're adjoining each other. So there's 0 feet in between them. But his other question was, what's the distance between the
The building
The
there.
firehouse,
Yeah, the old
and
firehouse.
the good property, if you know.
That I'm not aware of.
So there's a joint.
Yes, they're doing, it completely surrounds it. So if you look on page 22, 23, and 24, these aerial photographs, what do they depict?
So on page 22, you can see there's photographs depicting what appears to be a single-family dwelling in the property.
And what year was that?
So the first photograph is in 2005. And there's another photograph in 2012,
What does that depict?
also depicting what appears to be a single-family dwelling on the property.
Next one on page 23 at the top.
The photo from 2016 also appears to have a single-family dwelling on the property.
And how about 2020?
In 2020, it appears that the single-family dwelling was removed and what looks like maybe a travel trailer and some type of shed or building of some sort.
And did you review the East Union Township records?
Yes, I was unable to locate any permits for the removal of said structure.
And how about for the placement of the new structures?
Was unable to locate any permits for the new structures.
And in 2024, that photograph, page 24, what does that depict?
Nothing. Empty.
It shows it as empty.
Just to clarify, what was your answer?
It appears to be vacant at that point.
So, yes, also included in this, in these exhibits, certain sections of the zoning ordinance, which is what the zoning hearing board has to go by. And we marked them as T4 starting on page 15. You want to go over those sections of the ordinance
Yes.
and why they were included?
So on page 15, we've highlighted the definition of an accessory structure. An accessory structure is a subordinate structure detached but located on the same lot as the principal structure, the use of which is incidental and accessory to that of the principal structure.
Does this property have a principal structure on it?
It appears that the principal structure was removed without permits.
And the accessory structures, are you saying based upon this definition that they wouldn't be permitted because there's no principal structure?
Correct. They would, at that point, be considered principal structures.
And there's no permits for those either, correct?
Correct.
And the next page, 16, unattached accessory structures.
Yes, so this is some information related to requirements for unattached accessory structures.
Go to page 17, because of residential. As a matter of fact, the question was asked by council to the complainant, what's the zoning district in which the property is located? Could you tell the board what zoning district the property is located in?
Yes, the CR zoning district.
And what is that, conservation residential?
Correct.
And would the uses that are being made of the property be permitted in the conservation residential district?
I do not believe so.
And if you go to page 17, 304.2, residential, you have it highlighted. Why was that highlighted?
These are just different requirements for a residential accessory structure out of the zoning ordinance. So it talks about, height requirements, things along those natures.
And just so we're clear for the record, I mean, we're talking about structures generally, but I'm going to point your attention to the definition of structure in the zoning ordinance, because it didn't include it in your packet. But if you could look to the definition of structure under the zoning ordinance, page 2-35, could you read the definition of a structure into the record?
Yes, any man-made object, the use of which requires an ascertainable stationary location on land, whether or not it is affixed to the land.
Is there any question that the photographs that were submitted in the record for this particular property have structures on it?
There's no question, there's definitely structures on the land.
And do those structures require a permit?
Yes, so per page 21 of your packet shows section 1302.1, and then is in regards to issuance of a permit. This section of the zoning ordinance states, no building, structure, or sign shall be erected, constructed, moved, added to, or structurally altered, nor shall any land, structure, or building be put to any other use without first obtaining a zoning permit from the zoning officer.
And sitting here today, as the zoning officer, having reviewed the records of the township, are you aware of any zoning permits for this particular property for either the structures that exist on it or the uses that are being made of it?
I am not.
And if we go back to page 17, section 306, it says types of residential structures. Could you read that into the record?
For residential lots, permitted accessory structures shall include non-commercial greenhouses, tool or lawn sheds, private garages or carports, private non-commercial swimming pools, gazebos, and non-commercial satellite antenna dishes. I would add, none of these structures would meet any of those requirements because there is no principal structure.
I want to go to page 35 for a moment before we get into your issuance of the notice of violation. But as a result of you issuing a notice of violation, if you turn to page 35, was that the appeal that was filed?
Yes.
And if you go to page 38, was this attached to that appeal?
Yes.
And if you look at items 4, 5, and 6A, it says, for the property in question in respect to the zoning ordinance, Jonathan Butch is engaged in residential use, together with residential accessory structures, agriculture use or accessory under 502.1, or any of the following. These are as follows. A private carport not attached to the property which is used as a tool shed. We just got done reading the zoning sections. Would you agree with me that a tool shed is an unattached accessory residential structure and would require a zoning permit?
Yes.
And Mr. Good admits in his application here that he in fact has a tool shed on the property, is that correct?
Correct.
And same thing in terms of a classification, the carport. Would the private carport have the same requirement?
Yes.
And then it says, to a fenced-in garden and a former chicken coop. Would a chicken coop require a permit?
Yes.
Because it's a structure, is that correct?
Correct.
And does a fence require a permit?
Yes.
And was there a permit for the former chicken coop, the fence, the private carport, or the tool shed?
Not to my knowledge.
And there's structures that Mr. Good references in his application that exist on the property, is that correct?
Correct.
And as a result of that, was a notice of violation issued?
Yes.
I'm going to call your attention to page 10, Exhibit T3. And was that the notice of violation that was issued?
Yes.
And it was issued to the Goods for this particular property based on the sections of the ordinance we just talked about, correct?
Correct.
You also cite section 326 of the zoning ordinance that talks about general nuisance.
Correct.
And why was that section added?
Because the property is inconsistent with public safety and welfare and can have a detrimental effect on adjoining properties, potentially a fire hazard, and contains trash and junk.
Which, would you agree that that description of general nuisance as defined in the ordinance fits the activity that Mr. Danjensen just described to the board that he observed?
Yes.
And under that section, it says, please submit the required permit applications upon receipt of this notice. And then it goes on to additional requirements. Could you explain to the board what those additional requirements are?
Yes. Please submit the required permit applications upon receipt of this notice. Additional requirements and items to submit with your application may include, but are not limited to, sewage disposal permit or approval, water supply, driveway permit, PA/UCC building code plans.
And in addition to the zoning officer, are you a certified building inspector in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania?
Yes.
And you have a number, registered number from labor and industry?
Yes.
And in your role as this building inspector, what types of permits may be required in this particular instance?
So, without getting a formal submission from the applicant explaining what exactly he's doing, these structures being placed there without a principal residential building would require building permits in this case, as there's only exemptions in the Pennsylvania Uniform Construction Code for a residential garage if it is accessory to a single-family dwelling.
And if they put a driveway in, does that require a permit as well?
Yes.
And even if they didn't put the driveway in, but it was put in before them, would it still require a permit from whoever put it in?
Yes.
And then the remaining exhibits, I don't necessarily think I need the zoning officer to testify. So if you look at T7, from page 33 to 45, they're all the procedural requirements that the solicitor for the board engaged in procedurally to get this where it's at today. So maybe the board could just take judicial notice to it. I'm just going to ask him about the posting of the property just to see where they have to post the property. So, did you observe the postings on the property?
Yes, so our office observed the postings.
Yes. And the property owner posted it, correct? And they were done at least 1 week prior to hearing?
Yes.
They were conspicuous, you could read it, and a reasonable person would believe they will trespass and all the, is that correct?
Yeah.
And then we have judicial notice to the other parts. I mean, they're just the township records, if you want to put them in.
Objection.
I have no objection to that. The judicial notice.
Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you want to add? Nothing further, I move for the admission of the exhibits.
Is that, just to clarify, is that 1 through 7?
Well, the entire booklet,
1 through 32, and then 33 to
page 1 through
45
45.
would be the procedural ones. Are there any objections by Mr. Good?
There are not.
Okay. So moved. Exhibits T1 through T7, that's pages 1 through 45. And those are the same that's contained in this orange folder, which the board has, as well as council for the goods.
Mr. Kurtz, hello.
How are we doing?
Good, good. I wanted to follow up on a few things you asked about. You have never seen any trash burned on the property personally, correct?
Trash on the property? Yes.
Burned on the property. You never witnessed them burning trash on the property?
No, sir.
Okay, and you didn't bring any witness tonight who would have seen that, correct?
I believe Danny did see things burned on the property.
Okay, so the testimony earlier of the big fire, that's the only testimony you have here tonight present, correct? That anybody has seen trash burned on the property?
That is my understanding.
Okay. The carport that you've referenced, I want to ask you, this is movable, correct?
I don't know, I didn't try to move it.
Okay, fair enough. So you saw it, I mean, you saw it, there's a gravel kind of laid out there, and there's a very kind of thin rail thing with a little plastic type overhead to it, correct?
Yes.
I'm describing it accurately, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and you didn't try to move it, but did you see anywhere where it looked anchored into the ground or built with the foundation?
As far as how it's constructed, it doesn't affect the validity of the
I understand that answer, but the answer to my question, you didn't ever see it anchored into the ground in any place, correct? Okay. I understand your answer that it's movable. Movable may not matter, but you didn't see it as there's nothing there except for the burned down house that's got a foundation that's in the ground, correct?
Well, it looks like there's the chicken coop structure also, or garden area.
Okay, so all right, so let's do this. Let's run through the structure. Is that the burned down house, right?
Counselor, I didn't hear anything about the house burning down. I heard that the house doesn't exist, and apparently there was burning in the ground foundation.
Yeah,
So
actually,
calling it a burned down house
Right.
isn't accurate based on anything I've heard.
Okay.
That's your
What they both said,
interpretation.
so.
Are you telling us the house burned down?
I can connect it up with my witness later. Fair enough, and I apologize if I'm jumping ahead. Let me ask it like
Well,
this.
just so the record's clear, the testimony was that it was demolished without a permit.
Right,
Right.
right.
Are you aware of when the house was demolished or taken down?
I'm not from the GIS mapping, it was there and then not there.
Yeah, okay, you've got the overhead photos, right? And you're not aware beyond that of any evidence as to when it was taken down or why, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so structures on the property are I'll call it the house or the demolished house so that we've got a reference point, right? We've got the carport that's can't tell if it's anchored down or what have you, and we have the chicken coop, is that correct?
Correct.
Am I missing anything on structures?
The fence,
With the,
shed.
well, town council, can you just let him answer those questions?
Yes, the chicken coop fence structure. The fence, yeah, I would say those are structures there.
And I'm not trying to trick you, I just want to make sure we have the right universe of structures that we're talking about, right? Okay, so if there were permits submitted for this, I'll represent movable carport, what sort of sewer supply, water supply plans would be required under the Uniform Construction Code?
So that is kind of the issue here. So if you were to apply for those permits without principal structure, those structures become the principal structure. So it's potential that sewer requirements and things like that would be required, but I can't answer all of that because that would come from the sewage enforcement officer. But it's potential, it's potentially a requirement there. Because you'd be adding principal structures now.
Yeah, and you represented, you have expertise in the construction code under Pennsylvania law, correct?
Yes.
So if someone's just using a carport as a tool shed, even as a principal structure, you wouldn't expect there to be sewage requirements, right?
Potentially could. Potentially there could be sewage requirements depending on, local regulations.
Okay, all right, for the storage of tools entirely, you think they still might require a sewage installation of something?
It depends on the municipality, but in some instances, that is a requirement.
Okay, same for the chicken coop. You think there might be a sewage plan for the chicken coop?
So if you were to refer to, page 19, right, you referenced that the property was used for camping and recreational purposes, right? So if camping was taking place on that property, right, sewage, this section of the ordinance specifically states that, sewage facilities and water facilities would be required. So this is for like temporary structures and camping. This is also the section of the ordinance that prohibits camping on the property in temporary structures unless you have a permit to build a house. So this is basically the intent of the ordinance here is kind of saying like, hey, if you're going to occupy a property, there should be sewage facilities. Could you imagine if someone on Main Street was doing these types of things and, you know, can't just urinate in front of people? This has some cover, but if you're going to use a property, sewage requirements are very typical.
Sure. So in other words, there are certainly times that those protections would be required. I'm just asking if somebody's building a chicken coop on this property, in your experience under the Pennsylvania Construction Code, you wouldn't expect there to be sewage requirements if it was just a chicken coop for chickens, right?
Excuse me, but when you do put the chicken coop, you still need to get a permit, correct?
Correct.
All right, I just want to make sure I'm following along, sorry.
Yeah, I understand. I guess what I'm trying to nail down, because we have an application here for the zoning variance as well, so I'm trying to figure out what other requirements this would trigger. Okay, so if it were a chicken coop, there wouldn't be a sewage requirement, right? Or water supply.
In order to put these structures here without a principal structure, they would need a variance, and, you know, this would be the spot to come to get relief from all those things. You know, all of this could have been avoided by just talking to our office, applying for the permits. You know, we typically like to help people through the permit process, so you could do what you want to do on your property. You know, we normally point you in that right direction.
Yeah, so fair enough. In the last 10 years, though, this is the first violation you guys have issued. It's from July of this year, correct?
I'm sorry, could you...
July of this year was the first notice of violation issued to this property in 10 years, correct?
I can't speak to that as I've only been here for a year.
Well, that's fair. Are you aware of any other notices of violation in the year that you've been here?
I'm not aware.
Okay, and you're not aware of when the camping first started on the property, right?
I'm not aware.
Not aware of when the chicken coop was installed or when it started being used?
I could say from the aerial photos that was sometime after 2004, or 2024.
Sorry, which part was after 2024 from the aerial photos?
So if
Chicken
you look
coop?
at the aerial photos, I would say that the chicken coop probably happened after 2024.
Can you give me which page you're looking at? I'm sorry.
Page 24.
Okay. Okay, and I see you don't have a photo. You don't have a photo of today.
No, these were taken off of Google Earth. So this was the most recent photo we would have certainly provided one.
Okay, so you know this photo is from 2024 because it was pulled from Google Earth.
Correct.
Okay, how does it tabulate this from 2024?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, how can you tell it was from 2024 if it's on Google Earth?
Because it gives you the dates and there's history, there's like a history section on there where you could go back and it'll give you the specific day they took that satellite imagery.
Gotcha, and you don't have a photo from today though?
There's not, this is the most current photo that Google Earth had.
Got it, okay, and so you believe that you would be able to see the chicken coop from this satellite photo if it were there?
I believe so.
Okay, so on that basis, you believe the chicken, have you seen what they're doing with the chicken coop? Have you personally observed how it's being used?
From looking at it, I couldn't tell what that was.
Okay, fair enough. I want to ask you I'm going to take you back to page 17. You walked us through this a moment ago. There are kind of three things that the residential lot that the structure has to meet on here. You would agree that, I understand your answer, that these are now principal structures because of the condition of the house. Other than that, you'd agree these structures don't violate any of these rules that are 304.2, correct?
But I couldn't verify that as permits weren't issued for them.
Yeah, but you've been out there. I mean, they're not above the maximum height, right?
I didn't measure it.
I mean,
But again, he's doing the same thing you were objecting for, you're surmising.
well, I'm asking.
You're not asking actual questions, actual dimension, you're asking for his opinion.
Yeah, as the zoning officer, I mean, I'm asking, and if you don't know, you don't know. I mean, that's fine. But I mean, you're just saying you didn't measure. You can't tell how tall whether the building would be within these restrictions.
Correct, yeah. I didn't measure the size of the structure, so I couldn't tell you if it meets the square footage requirements.
Okay. Can't tell whether it's less than 10 feet from the side lot or the rear lot line. I mean, you saw where those lot lines were, right?
I don't know where the lot lines are because,
Okay. You didn't ever see any outdoor wood-fired boilers, correct?
no.
Okay. You were asked earlier, there was a photo showing you of just kind of this area where there was some burned plastic. You're not aware of when or how it was burned, is that correct?
Could you tell me which photograph?
Yeah, sure. I believe, give me a second. I believe it was on page 3. I think it's the bottom right photo on page 3. The gentleman on the board, I think, had asked you a couple questions about, when you clarified you'd been out to the property. I don't think I got a clear answer to the question of, you weren't able to tell when or how these things were burned. Is that correct?
I was not there for the burning of those things.
Fair enough. Okay. You've referenced a couple burn barrels you saw on the property. Did you look at any of those burn barrels?
I did not look in the burn barrels.
Okay. You were asked at one point, one of the board members just asked about the distance from the neighbor, the complainant's property, where it's cleared to this spot where it's cleared. Clearing to clearing, essentially, is what I understood the question to be. I think we established the property's touch, but can you estimate the clearing to clearing distance?
Well, what I believe was railroad tracks before, that is cleared and I believe owned by Mr. Danchinson. That is cleared and right adjoining to the cleared section of Mr. Good's property.
Okay, you believe the clearing of the railroad area touches the clearing of the subject property?
Correct.
Okay. There was a reference to a fence needing a permit, and then there was discussion of a fenced-in garden. This is the chicken coop area still? Is that right?
Well, there's a fence that I guess was placed on Mr. Danchinson. Excuse me. There's a fence, I guess, that was placed on Mr. Danchison's property, and then there's also the fence chicken coop area.
Yeah, okay, so we talked about the chicken coop, I guess. So other than that one, the only other fence you saw out there is the one that's on the dirt, I called it an easement earlier, but the dirt path into the property, right?
Yep.
Okay, and that's the one that was torn down, is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Have you been out to this property since July the 7th?
Yes, it was out there on July 24th.
Okay. One second.
Counselor, if I may, for clarification, regarding this fence that Mayor was torn down, we're talking about the record on page 5. Gate.
Yes. Yes, and I guess I'll ask you, that's the fence you're referring to that you said, based on Mr. Danchison's testimony, was installed in his property?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe, again, some more clarification, maybe
Sure.
I missed this, maybe this was asked. Did Mr. Brabonitz take all of these photos from page 2 through 9?
No. Mr. Bonnet took photos on page 2, 3, and 4.
Okay, so the others were taken by,
The others, so 5, 6, 7 were taken by me. 8, 9 were taken by more of my employees and Luca.
are you aware, is there power on the property? Is there electricity on the property?
I'm honestly not sure.
Does anybody know? Curious.
There's power. Power
I'm
line
sorry,
on
who are
page
you?
6, John, are you good? Page 6 at
There
the
is
top
power.
left,
Yeah,
you can see the line.
That's all I have.
Sure. And I'll be happy to proffer my client later to answer some of those questions as well. Let me show you, I guess, I'm going to hand you documents, which I don't know how you'd like us to mark these. Sorry, I brought enough copies. Let me give you guys this step. I give you a copy.
Joanne, you want to hear copies?
For future
clerk, make sure that there's enough copies for our board.
We'll just call it, I guess, good one. I'll bring the stack as well. This is the official stack. I'm just going to ask you in a moment to just leaf through this. Give me a second. To it, so we can keep, I'll come back to the pictures in a moment, just so we can keep moving. I'll ask you, you were talking about the public welfare, and that this property, in its current condition, could be a danger to the public welfare. I think I understood you to say that's based on any burning of trash that's happening there, is that correct?
Accumulation or just garbage.
Okay. Accumulation of garbage or burning of trash, is that a fair summation? Okay, I'll ask you just to look through those pictures, and again, I'll connect this up with my client in a moment. I'll represent to you, this is the current condition of the property. These photos taken a couple weeks ago.
And I'd just like to add that typically when a notice of violation is issued, you don't have to appeal the notice if you're going to correct the violation. You can just correct it and let us know.
Correct, and then you see pictures.
Yes, so the question, I guess, my question is, you've been out there a couple weeks ago. Is this consistent with what you saw in your most recent visit to the property?
There is...
Is what consistent?
These photos.
So, just procedurally, what I want is a witness to authenticate these before we start talking about them, because you can't testify, and if he didn't take them and these aren't from you, I don't know how you can testify other than generally.
Sure, I would connect it up. I mean, Mr. Goodman's going to testify in a moment that he took these photos a couple weeks ago, that these are an accurate reflection of the property. I think the only reason I'm showing this witness is that he also has been out to the property in the last several weeks, so I'm just asking him to confirm.
No, so I'm not going to allow that because I want to lay a foundation. Just, put on a witness who can testify that this is
Fair enough.
my property and the date. Not to cut you off, that would be efficient, but I don't think it would be proper.
Fair enough. I can recall Mr. Kurtz. I was just trying to avoid belaboring this further. So, all right, I'll set that aside. You answered my question about public welfare. Let me just run through the rest of this real quick. You were asked, there was a general question at the beginning, you were asked about if you'd observed Mr. Danchen's complaints, and you said yes, and I think you said, but I, of course, hadn't seen the fire. I just want to clarify, have you seen trucks coming and going through the property yourself at any point in time? Okay. In your notice of violation, you did not reference anything you did not reference anything in regard to burning or fire pits, is that correct?
It does not appear so.
Okay. Your complaint was limited to the issue of whether structures had been added or removed. And I think you established you don't know when those structures were added or removed, correct?
Well, I believe they're after 2024.
Okay, and that's based on the Google photo, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you. I have nothing further for this witness, but I do want to reserve the right to recall for...
I have some follow-up. So you haven't actually observed any burning on the property, however, you observed remnants of burning on the property?
Correct.
And that would be what existed in the foundation of the home, correct?
Yes.
And you've also observed burning facilities on the property, whether it be a burn barrel or a burn pit, is that correct?
Yes.
And
Well, which one was it?
Pit
Or barrel?
both.
Both.
And I think he asked you whether or not you noticed a violation of reference permit on the property. And your answer was no, correct?
Sure.
Would you agree with me that your notice of violation references use of the property?
Yes.
So if somebody were to be in the hauling business and take garbage of the property and burn it, would that be a use of the property that would require a permit?
Yes, so typically whenever the use is changed of a property, so if you have a house on a property, if you're going to move that house, it requires a permit. If you're going to demolish the house and turn it into a campground, it would require a permit. If you were just going to, basically whatever you plan to use the property for, you apply for a permit, make sure that it conforms with the zoning ordinance.
And I believe council asked you, if you have a structure on the property and it's movable, does it require a permit?
Yes, it does require a permit.
And that's because of the definition of a structure as any man-made object having an ascertainable stationary location on land, correct?
Correct.
So even if it was movable, which I haven't seen a photograph that shows a movable structure, have you seen one? Movable to me means on wheels.
I'm going to object to the
What
characterization.
does movable to you mean?
I-
It's his characterization, I'm just following up on the question. So what does movable to you mean?
I've never tried to move a carport, so I would say it doesn't look that easily to move.
So in terms of the structures that you viewed on the property, they wouldn't be movable.
A structure like that is typically in one location and it's left there, it's not typically moved.
And then I think he went through the different types of structures and asked you when they went up. But I don't know if you recall during the direct testimony when I asked you, from the beginning of your investigation to the end of your investigation, wasn't a carport added to the property?
Oh, correct, yes, so that was added within the past few months.
And in terms of SOAR, I mean, it was his appeal notice that he stated that his clients were camping on the property and staying there overnight. Was that the first time you learned of that use?
Correct.
And based on that use, would that then trigger a sewage requirement?
Correct.
And he asked you under 304.2 of the ordinance whether or not the unattached accessory structures met the supplemental requirements for the structure. And then I believe your testimony was you don't even get to that point because they weren't permitted yet. First they have to be permitted, is that correct?
Correct. Typically, if someone wanted to use a property, the first step would just be come and talk to the zoning officer. We would have them apply for a permit, and from there, we would walk them through that permitting process.
So in terms of the permit process, if you turn to page 21 of the exhibits, under 1302.1, I believe we established that the use of the property requires a permit, the structures on the property require permits, and there's no permits for either the uses of the structures. Is that correct?
Correct.
And when he asked you the question about whether or not the structures on the property, if they obtained a permit, would be in compliance with the ordinance, I believe your testimony was you couldn't opine as to that because there was no permit.
Correct.
And would you agree with me that under 1302.2, which is the next section under that section, when it talks about the form application, it requires 2 sets of plans to accompany every permit application.
Correct.
So if the goods, instead of appealing, were to apply for a permit, it would have required plans, and you would have reviewed the plans to see whether or not it met the requirements of the ordinance in terms of setbacks and height and coverage. Is that correct?
Correct. And that's kind of why I wouldn't want to say that something's, typically we don't say that something would be okay until we get a permit application so we can do a thorough review.
One last question. I believe he asked you about general nuisance, and he asked you what conditions of this property, in your opinion, constituted a general nuisance. Would you agree with me that under 2-34 of the ordinance, those conditions have already been spelled out by the legislative drafters of the ordinance. And I'll show you what's marked as 2-34 of the ordinance. It defines a general nuisance, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And what does subsection D say were to constitute a general nuisance under the ordinance?
A property that contains trash, junk, and/or more than one inoperable motor vehicle.
So if the property contains junk and trash, which is what your opinion is today, that opinion is based on what the definition of a general nuisance is by the people who wrote the ordinance, correct?
Correct.
And then also in terms of general nuisance, what does subsection A define a general nuisance to include what type of conditions?
Any use considered to be inconsistent with the public comfort, convenience, health, safety, and general welfare, including the following: fire and explosion hazards, electrical and radioactive disturbances, noise and vibration, dust, dirt and fly ash, glare, smoke and odors, and other forms of air pollution.
And how about subsection D? What conditions constitute a general nuisance as determined by the drafters?
Any use operated or conducted in manner which directly or indirectly endangers the public health, safety, and/or welfare, including but not limited to having a detrimental effect on an adjoining property or use of property and/or the community.
And how about subsection C?
Property in a continuing state of disrepair that is not fit for human habitation and/or occupancy with the potential to attract vermin and/or deemed to be a fire hazard to adjoining properties.
In the photographs that you observed and the conditions you observed of that property, have you, were there any structures that were fit for occupancy?
No, I couldn't say that any structure would be fit for occupancy unless a permit was applied for.
That's all I have, thank you.
Just, recross. You asked about fit for occupancy. If none of these structures, if the chicken coop or the carport had not been installed, this property still wouldn't be fit for occupancy, correct?
Well, you need to apply for a permit in order for me to issue a permit.
Yeah.
A certificate of occupancy.
I guess in other words, if what we're here tonight on is the construction of these structures, they didn't make this property unfit for occupancy. It just still isn't fit for occupancy overnight, correct?
Could you clarify that?
Yeah, you were just asked if the structures that are on this property are fit for occupancy. I mean, nobody's sleeping in the chicken coop. So I'm just asking, before the chicken coop...
I'm going to object to the characterization of occupancy because I'm not talking about habitation. Habitation has a difference, is a different term used under general nuisance. I'm talking about occupancy. Occupancy is use, not habitation. It's confusing the question by assuming that occupancy means habitation. I'm not suggesting they're living in these because based on their own testimony, they're not living in them. Based on their application, they're saying that they're living in campers,
Let
tents,
council answer.
and trailers. When I'm using the term occupancy, it means use, not habitation.
Yeah, I'm happy to have that argument later. My question, he asked for clarification of questions. Let me just, I'll just try it again. I'll withdraw it and try it again. You were asked if the property's fit for occupancy. It wasn't fit for occupancy before any of these structures were put up, correct?
So I only say that a property is fit for occupancy or a structure is fit for occupancy if a permit is applied for. So like, for example, if you were to remodel your bathroom, right, and you get a permit for that, at the end of that, once the permit is closed out, you would issue a certificate of occupancy, basically stating that it's completed.
Sure. The paperwork needs to be done, and that's fair. I guess my question is, there's nothing on this property right now that has made it unfit for occupancy as an objective matter, other than the not having a permit, right? There's not black mold in the something. There's not a gaping hole in the side of the building that shouldn't be there. There's no flood damage. We're not talking about that type of unfit for occupancy, right? You're talking about the lack of permitting.
Sure.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I'm clear. There's nothing else there. And then you were asked about the fire hazard. what specifically here is a fire hazard? There's nothing, there's no chemicals, there's nothing there that's potentially explosive we heard about. There's nothing on this property that would accelerate a fire beyond, just an existing fire, correct?
I would say an accumulation of rubbish and garbage could facilitate the fire to burn, or even fuel for a fire, if fire hazards.
So, okay, so for example, maybe the chicken coop could burn faster than the vegetation around it. I mean, that's the type of thing you're talking about? Okay. That's what when you refer to a fire hazard.
Or garbage and rubbish.
Okay. All right. Other than that, though, you'd say there's nothing else that's creating a fire hazard? A hazmat, anything like that?
I would also refer that to code enforcement as far as, regulations for burning, whether there's requirements. This is outside the scope of what I do, but that would, whether there's fire requirements, the location of burning, how far it has to be away from vegetation or other piles of garbage, that might be something for the fire marshal to also comment on.
Okay.
But
Thank you. I have nothing further.
I have a follow-up on that. So, looking at the photographs that opposing counsel gave me, there's an electrical service there. If somebody installs electrical service to a structure, does that require an inspection and a permit?
it would.
And why is that? Because it could constitute a fire hazard?
Correct.
And was there an inspection of this electrical unit and panel that was installed on this property?
The permit did come through my office.
Do we know when the power was installed?
My client can testify to that, for sure.
Just know there's power there.
It's actually the old power from the
Hold on.
house.
Hold on.
It was
Mr.
there.
Mr. Good, you haven't been
You
sworn
gotta
in
be
yet.
sworn in.
You haven't been sworn yet, Mr. Good. Sorry, not to cut you off, but you just have to be sworn. Yeah, anything further?
No, nothing for this witness. Thank you.
Township
If you
rests on
took
the
the old
enforcement.
power that was connected to the old structure and you ripped down the structure and connected to new structures, would that require a new permit?
Yes.
And was there a new permit through this office?
Not that I'm aware of.
All of these questions, though, for you are limited to within the last year, correct? You don't know about for more than a year ago.
There's also not a record of it here at the borough office.
Okay. No, you checked the records of the borough's office, but these questions specifically about what you or your office did, you don't know about more than a year ago.
Well,
Guys, hold on, we're outside the scope at this point. We can argue that in closings.
Okay.
Township, any further witnesses?
Moved in for exhibits which were not
Okay.
objected to.
Pages 1 through 45, exhibits T1 through T7 entered.
Thank you. I'll call Jonathan Good.
Okay, so that's the enforcement action period portion. Obviously, you have an opportunity now, because it's my opinion that they have met their burden of production and persuasion. Now it's up to you to rebut that.
Okay. Yes. So we'll call Jonathan Good to the stand. And where would you like him to? I can move.
Joanne, do we need a break or any timekeeping issues that we need to address?
Does anybody need a break, or can we, can we move on? Is everybody okay?
put a chair up there. Get up.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. I'll slide over here.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Some space. Just maybe for efficiency, I've labeled the photograph provided by Mr. Good's counsel as 1 through 30. We can, if Township's counsel has already reviewed, do you have any objection?
No objection.
Okay.
To these photographs?
As long as he authenticates it quickly, we can move them in.
No, I actually love them. We couldn't get that close on the property. It's a great close-up. I'm gonna have to draw them.
Sorry if I proceed. I just want to be sure. All right. Okay. So first of all, I should let you be sworn, I guess.
Yes. Raise your hand. You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Okay. Could you state your name?
Jonathan Good?
And are you the owner of the subject property we're discussing here tonight?
Yes.
Okay. I understand you purchased Christian Goods interest from him at some point in the past. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to hand hand you these photos.
Okay.
Would you tell the board what these photos are, first of all? What are they of?
There's a picture of, foundation there, picture of the chicken coop.
And I don't necessarily need you to run through all 30. I guess, first of all, did you take these photos?
Yes.
Okay. Are these photos a true and accurate reflection of the condition of the property today?
Yeah.
Okay. And when roughly did you take these photographs?
I think like July 24th or something like that around there.
Okay.
In that ballpark, I'm 100%.
Okay, so late July, is that
Yes.
fair? Okay. I'll move the admission of good 1 through 30.
Any objections to the township?
No objection.
So moved.
Okay. Mr. Good, how long have you been an owner of this property?
This is 2014.
Okay. During that time, there's been some questions tonight about the state of the, I'll call it the house that was on the property.
Okay.
What happened to the house? Tell me.
So we got the house through tax sale, me and my brother. The house was very dilapidated. So what we did was we were allowed, we took all the shingles, anything that was hazard material off. We had Marty Kritschko knock it down, and then Kyle Mooney and Jonathan Barrows, when he was zoning at the time, we were allowed to burn it on site.
Okay. And roughly when did that burning happen?
Like 2018-ish.
Okay. And who at the township did you?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. You went over so fast. You said Jonathan Burrows was
Yeah.
there when you burned it down. Did he give you the permit to tear the house down?
No one gave us a permit. They said it was okay.
Was Jonathan Burrows told you that?
Yeah, they all said it was fine.
Who's all?
That was Jonathan Barrows and Kyle Mooney, and then I think John Barrows was also the supervisor as well.
In 18? No.
I think it was 18, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, all right. I'm sorry, go ahead.
And just following up that question, I'll make sure we're totally clear. You asked if you needed a permit from them, is that right?
I asked anything I needed. They said, no, you're good to go.
Okay.
Do you have anything
What's the
in writing?
objection?
No.
What somebody said, I don't know who they are or what their position was.
It's beyond, well, he's just testified.
My brother was there.
Hold on, yeah, hold on. He just testified that who it was on behalf of the township, which would make statements of
I
that
don't,
first party.
I don't know who was in the township in 2019. You didn't tell me what position they had.
Would you?
Probably solicitor.
Sure.
Again,
Yeah, he was the code.
he didn't say code enforcement. He said Jonathan Burrows was there. I thought he helped them take it down.
Mr. Good, if you know their positions, then testify.
I honestly thought he was.
If you don't know, just say I don't know.
Okay, that's fine.
What did you answer? You don't know.
Hold on, come on. So the question that they want you to clarify is, can you talk about what the positions were of the individuals you just named with the township, to the degree you know?
I know Kyle Mooney was not township supervisor at the time, he was fire chief. Okay. I know Jonathan was involved in the township, and I don't remember if he was on zoning or if he was code enforcement, but he was involved with the township. But also John Barrows was, that's his father, was the supervisor at the time.
Kyle Mooney, the fire chief.
Again, I'm
he
going to
was
object as to what any of them said because it's not relevant to this proceeding and it's hearsay. Whether or not a supervisor told me to burn down a building
Also,
is
Kyle,
not relevant as to whether or not a zoning officer gave us permission.
Come on, let's keep it nice.
And if I can just respond to that, it is absolutely relevant on multiple grounds. One is that he's establishing the timeline within which he made these changes. Two, he's establishing appropriate detrimental reliance on the township's affirmative
My only
statements.
objection was he can't testify to what they're saying.
Of what?
I didn't say that the
So
question.
if I could just finish of
Let
what
me
he's.
clarify it, and then you can get off your soapbox, because there are issues that aren't. The only thing I'm saying, my objection was this, that he's testifying as to what people said. He hasn't even established their positions with the township. And if he said that Mr. Burrows was there as a supervisor, that's not relevant to this proceeding. Mr. Burrows couldn't give him permission.
I'm
to
sorry,
tear
I'm
down
sorry
the
I started this, but the only reason I started is because I wanted to know at the time if you had a permit to tear it down.
I honestly don't remember if they gave me one or not. I really don't.
If they did, we probably would have that on record.
Well, you just don't have on record.
Well,
I
the
have a-
story just changed twice. First he said he
I-
never needed it, now he's saying.
If we continue, we're gonna take a 5-minute break, okay? I know tempers are a little high, let's get through this.
Okay, so first, I'm going to roll an objection with your permission. The objection is going to be sustained, so you could call them as witnesses, right? So I'm not going to let you testify to what they could say here today, but if it's something that just moves it along, that's fine. We've already heard your testimony, you believe that it was approved. Let's move on from there.
And just for the record, I just want to clarify again, statement of adverse party would be admissible. So I understand the ruling, I just wanted that on the record for that purpose. All right,
We also called the comp center that day when we did it.
who is the comp center, I'm sorry?
That's in Shendo, 462, whatever.
1991.
There you go, my brother.
Hold on a second.
All right.
Sir, just stand up and be sworn. If he's going to chime in, that's okay. I just want him sworn first.
Christian Gunn.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
What's your address for the record?
What's your address for the record?
My address,
Correct.
where I live right now, I live in Oneida.
Okay. What's the address?
63 3rd Street, Oneida.
Thank you.
Okay, Jonathan, let me back up. When did you install the chicken coop on this property?
I want to say about 2023, because my wife had breast cancer.
Okay. So it stands out to you because of that was the
Yes.
time frame?
Yes.
Okay. Why did you, I mean, just briefly, why did you install chicken coop?
You want me to be honest? Piss him off. That was the whole goal.
Okay. Do you remember when in 2023? Would this have been in the spring or summer?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, would this have been in the spring or summer of 2023?
It would be in spring, I'd say.
And when did you install, there's a fence that we've referred to several times on a dirt road that's been torn down.
That's been there for like 10 years.
Okay. Was it there when you bought the property?
No, it was there right when we got the property, me and him put it up.
Me and who?
Me and my brother.
So wait a minute, you just contradicted yourself. You said it was there for 10 years.
Yeah.
You bought the property in 2024 and you said your brother put it up?
2014.
Yeah, it's like 10 years.
2014.
I'm sorry, I thought you said 2024. I apologize.
Yeah, let me just make sure I clean that up. You bought the property
See, you're going so fast.
Yeah, in 2014, yes, we bought the property.
I'm sorry, let's slow
So
down.
it was
Hold on,
like
John, hold on, sorry. We're going to slow down just a little bit because I
Yes.
understand the chairwoman's wanting us to actually
I'm going to interject just for a second procedurally.
Yes.
Are you going to focus on the enforcement notice, or are you doing like a plenary?
I thought I would do it all. If you want me to focus on the
Is
enforcement
there any
notice.
objection to him doing
No, he's doing a good job.
a plenary for the
He's
special
doing a good
exception
job
and the
establishing
variance?
the violations. He
Because-
just shown that, we have no objection to this line of
No,
questioning.
just real quickly, because we have 4 other issues. There's the variance, the special exception, substantive and procedural challenges.
Right.
Okay, so you want to address everything?
I thought it would be fast.
Okay, that's fine with me.
That's
It's fine
fine.
with
Is
you.
that fine with the board? Yes.
Okay,
I
just making
promise,
sure.
I promise I'm trying to get these folks
Okay.
home.
So, having said that, I'm going to give him more leeway than with a broader scope than just the enforcement actions under the ordinance, because he is now applying for a special exception of the variance with this testimony.
Right. Okay. So, Jonathan, let me ask you, you bought the property in 2018. Okay. And for 2014.
All right, see, you keep doing it to me. Listen,
I'm my fault.
I'm goofy enough. I don't need your help.
Yes, 2014, yes, 2014.
And then you established in 2018 is when you took down the house that was on the property that was a problem.
Correct.
Yes. You installed the chicken coop in spring of 2023.
Yes.
And when did you put up the carports?
Put that up on the 4th of July.
Okay, of this year?
Yes.
Okay. When did you build the fence that was on the dirt road that was taken
That
down?
was put up when we basically got the place, like say 2014, 2015-ish.
Okay. And when was that torn down?
That was torn down. I just noticed it tonight, actually.
Okay. So this property, would you describe for the board very briefly? It's surrounded by another property, is that right?
Correct.
Whose property is it surrounded by?
Mr. Denison's.
How do you get to your property?
You have to go up Springwater Boulevard and go up the road that has been there since the dawn of time.
Okay. This is the dirt road, correct?
Yes.
You heard me refer to it as an easement earlier. Has it been communicated to you that that's an easement?
Yes.
Okay. Where have you heard that?
Actually, it's on his deed.
believe it's on his deed.
Yes.
In addition, have you used it consistently throughout the whole time that you've been on that property?
Yes, it was actually also in a zoning meeting when Bob Morty was trying to turn it over. He said that it was there when he was a kid as well.
Okay. You traveled this dirt road where you had put up the sign that we're now, this gate, for lack of a better term. The gentleman said earlier it was on his land. Was it on just the area that you had believed was an easement?
Yes.
Okay. There's been a lot of discussion about burning tonight, so I just want to try to tackle that real quick. Have you ever burned anything on this property?
I did when we, I had a camper on it.
When was that?
We had a camper on it after, the house got torn down and got burned.
And that would have been back in 2018?
2018 until about 2020, the camper was on the property.
Have you had a camper on the property in the last 5 years?
If you count 2020, yes.
Okay, yeah. So since I guess I'll say September of 2020, or since December of 2020, have you had a camper on the property?
Don't believe so.
Okay. Have you, there was some reference in zoning appeal to camping. Is that the reference you were referring to? Is that what you were referring to when you talked about camping on the property?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you burned on the property? You've talked about the house, and I take it you did campfires is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Have you burned other than that on the property at other times? Started fires?
No, other than that, no.
Okay. There is a page, I'm going to show it to you here. This is page... Page 3. I'm going to show you the photo that's in the bottom right corner of page 3. Okay. This has been testified as what appears to be some kind of burned material. Okay. So first, do you recognize this area on the property?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, would you tell the board what happened?
That was there, we had a burn barrel there when we had a camper there in 2018.
Yeah, what, a fire burn?
So we had a burn barrel there. And that's from, yeah.
That was the time period 2018 to 2020, is that
Yes.
correct? Okay. Have you, there are some burn barrels in some of these photos. Do you use any of them for burning currently?
So the other two burn barrels that are in those photos are actually, my dad gave them to me, and I said, Dad, I'll store them on the property. If you need them, you can, come down and get one.
You storing any fireworks, flammable materials, chemicals on the property?
No.
Are there currently chickens in the chicken coop?
No.
Would you tell the board what you're doing with the carport that's on the property?
It's just honestly for storage over there. If we get chickens again, we could put feed in there. We could, stuff like that. Just basically farm stuff.
I'm going to keep calling it a carport.
Okay.
Is it movable?
Yeah, me and my brother physically can pick it up and move it ourselves.
Is it anchored into the ground in any way?
No.
There was a discussion of an electrical box earlier.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that electrical box?
Yeah.
Who installed it?
Actually, I think, I don't honestly.
Let me start. Did you install it?
No, I didn't.
Did you hire an electrician to install it?
The inspector came and did it.
Okay. Do you remember where the inspector was from?
Ringtown. I believe it was Ringtown. Because they have to put, in order to get a service, there has to be a sticker on it.
Did you ask for them to come install this?
Like the inspector to come, yeah, and then he has to call PP&L, and then they come and put it in.
Why did you want this electrical service installed out there?
Because if I ever had a camper there again, I could hook up to the power instead of running the generator.
Okay. When was it installed roughly?
Around 2020.
Okay. This is back when the camper was still there?
Yeah.
Okay. Has it been used since that time?
Here and there, if you run power poles. There's a electrical GFCI on the pole.
Okay. How big is this property in acreage?
A third of an acre.
I'm going to make sure that we're totally clear. It's completely surrounded by your neighbor's property with the exception of this easement entrance.
Correct.
Okay. Is anything you're doing changing the nature and character of the neighborhood in which you're in?
No.
How often are you out at this property?
Once, twice a week, I'm lucky.
Okay. What do you do out there?
Just cut the grass, or if I do park my trailers there, if I do want to go get it, if not, just checking on it.
There was some discussion about you running trash in and coming out without trash. So let me ask, do you store trash at the property?
The only time I ever stored trash was me and my wife remodeled the house, which they had the pictures of. I said to her, I said, so I'm going to throw the box spring of matches. We got a new bed. So I threw it on top, and I said to her, I'll get rid of it on Monday. I'll just go park it over the property. And, yeah, then they got a notice about it. And it was tarped. I couldn't believe it was tarped.
What was tarped? I'm
The
sorry.
trailer was tarped.
So there was a tarp over top of it.
I believe there was.
Okay. I'm going to show you what has been marked as page 12. There's a picture of some different, I'll call them trash items. Okay. Would you tell the board what these were and why they were there?
Okay, so this is just scrap metal in the white trailer.
So you're pointing right now to the top right photo.
Yes, the top left and right is scrap metal. The one on the left, that's a piano, that's scrap metal as well. Because I couldn't fit it in the trailer and lift it. And I don't know what the right one is, I can't make that up, to be honest.
Excuse me, the top one on the left,
Yes,
you said that's scrap metal?
yes,
That looks like a washer.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
It's scrap metal.
All right, okay.
yeah.
I'm just asking for clarification.
I've been doing it since I'm like 4 years old. We always did it. And then the other bottom two are my big trailer, my 16-footer. And like I said, it has my bed on top. And we remodeled. Like,
You remodeled at your own home.
yes.
You stored some of the items there while you were scrapping them, is that correct?
Some of them, yeah.
Okay. Have you routinely stored other scrap metal at this property?
Occasionally here and there, if I have something that I need to use the truck, I throw it in the trailer. You know, but other than that, that's it.
Have you unloaded items there and kept them on the ground?
Yeah, yeah, I have.
How often do you do that?
I'm lucky if I do it once or twice a month, if that.
Do you know how large the square footage was of a house that existed there?
No clue. No clue.
Was it in the kind of condition that you could tell how many rooms, bathrooms it had?
I honestly don't remember. I don't.
Okay.
The house was actually that bad when we got it, that Tony Harris, that was the code or zoning officer at the time, got the people that lived in the house out of it.
Okay. Within a couple of weeks of you receiving the notice of violation of this matter, what changes did you make at the property?
I tried to clean up apparently what they called junk. Some of the stuff there was actually for the chicken coop, for like a platform, for the chickens that I had there, and then there was some extra wood just in case you need to put a new post up or whatever.
One second. Are you aware of what sewage disposal is on site currently with this old house that's there?
Yeah, there's an old septic that sits there, but we have it capped.
Other than this notice of violation you have received in July, I believe it was the 7th of this year, have you ever received a notice of violation at this property?
No, I've never been in trouble in my life.
Okay. Have you ever asked for and been denied a permit at the property?
No, I've actually applied for one when they did give me one.
Okay, when was that?
I want to say that was back when Kyle first got in office. And I did leave the permit at home, but I do have the permit. It says for a shed, and Tony Harris approved it.
If the board asks you, or requires you to put in permits for any of these facilities, are you willing to put those into the township?
Sure.
Okay.
So I'm going to rein it in now for a minute, now that we're there. Has he submitted a permit to the zoning officer for a variance of the use of the property, or has he submitted a permit for any of these structures that are currently on the property?
I'll ask you that question. Have you submitted any?
No, I haven't done anything other than what you guys
All right, so right there, when we go through the ordinance, right, if you want a variance, I'm just talking about a variance right now, there has to be, the zoning hearing board doesn't even have jurisdiction over this permit.
That's what I was going to ask you, our solicitor. You kind of jumped the board here. You have to go to get the zoning permits, as Craig said. Once they're all turned down, for whatever reason it is, then you come for a variance. Because looking at your application here, first one it says here, describe the purpose use of the land, see attachment. I didn't get no attachments, okay? Describe the present use of it, see attachment. I mean, why didn't you do the right thing and go for the permits first? Because like our solicitor said, we're kind of like out of our element here now because we don't have anything to base it on with the permit being denied. Am I correct?
So, yeah, at this point, the basic elements to get in the door, the variance and special exception are not met. So of the 5 things we're going through, those 2 are off the table. I know substantively we're talking about it in theory, but the zoning officer doesn't even have a permit to, what I heard testimony for is, I want a use variance to use this as a commercial junkyard to some degree. That's from the township, obviously. He's asking to use it as a tool shed or accessory structure without a principal structure. So we're not there yet.
I'm happy to tackle that. I mean, just if I could take these seriatim, there was a...
Quickly, because at this point, I'm about ready to take variance and special exception right off the table and just have you move into the substantive and procedural challenges and the zoning enforcement.
Sure. It's based on Pennsylvania's Right to Farm Act. If he's doing this, as he explained, as an accessory to a chicken coop, that's livestock, which means that no variance, no permit would have to be issued for that. The question about the attachments, I'm not sure if that wasn't received. We do have an attachment here laying out our challenges. So if that wasn't received, I do want to make sure everybody gets a copy. I believe it's page 38 to 39 is what we referenced. So I just want to make sure that was all passed out.
Let's go.
Sure. And I think I'm close to concluding. So at this point, you've been using the property consistently this way since you purchased it. Is that correct?
Yeah, me and my brother have it, yeah.
Okay. All right. And I have nothing further at this time.
I have some questions. What is it?
Yep.
Now, you purchased the property in 2014, is that correct?
Yes.
And where'd you buy it? Tax sale?
Yes.
So you don't know who the prior owner was, or was the
It was
prior?
my sister, technically. But she bought it at a tax sale and we were there with her. So
you bought it? Your sister didn't
My
own
sister-
it before you?
she did, she did.
At the tax sale?
she bought it and then me and my brother bought it from her.
And she bought it at the tax sale?
Yes.
And when did she buy it at the tax sale?
2014 as well.
It was the same time. So she went to the tax sale, purchased the property, and conveyed it to you?
Believe so, yeah.
Okay, so my question's still the same. Do you know who owned the property before her, and what uses were made of the property before her?
Yeah, the property before her was Skiba,
And how do you know that?
because it's on parcel located.
Okay, but you don't have personal knowledge of that.
I don't know who he is, but it's on parcel locator, you can look it up.
And you wouldn't know what the prior use of the property was prior to your sister purchasing it?
No.
And then after you purchased it, I believe you testified in 2018 you worked on a house, correct?
Yes.
And you may or may not have gotten a permit, correct?
Correct.
And then in 2023, I believe to piss Mr. Danchinson off was your testimony, you put a chicken coop up, is that correct?
Yeah, we had chickens.
Okay, do you have chickens there now?
No, we don't right now.
And did you get a permit for the chicken coop?
Didn't think I needed a permit.
Well, when you received the notice of violation saying you did it ever dawn on you that maybe you should go and get a permit for the chicken coop?
I have a question. If I put it up in 2023, what year is it now?
It's 2025.
Okay.
So if your testimony is, if you could get it up before the township notifies you, you're allowed to have it without a permit?
I didn't say that.
Well, what does it matter that the notice was issued in 2025 for a structure that was installed in
Why?
2020? Let me finish the question. What does it matter for notice issued in 2025 for structure constructed in 2023 without a permit?
Why did it take them 2 years to issue it?
So that's your objection.
I'm just curious.
Sir, just answer the question.
Yes, that is my objection. It took them 2 years, like all of a sudden now.
So your testimony is it takes them 2 years to find out that you constructed a structure on the property without a permit, and you don't have the right to make you get a permit. Is that your
Didn't know I
testimony?
needed a permit.
Well, when the township notified you in 2025 by way of notice of violation that you needed a permit, did it then dawn on you to come in and get a permit for your chicken coop?
No, because I didn't think I was in violation.
And you don't think you're in violation because they didn't catch you putting up the structure in 2023 without one? Is that
I
your
never said that.
testimony?
You never said that.
Well, what are you saying then? Why don't you need a permit for the chicken coop?
I'll be happy to offer a legal argument.
Listen, I have a question. The man's big enough to answer. He's entitled to answer.
Legal argument after questions, if that's all right. Or
It's at the end.
you can do a redirect.
Yeah, I just mean.
So why, sir, it's not a permissible objection either. So why, sir, don't you believe you need a permit for the chicken coop?
I honestly don't know if I needed one or not.
In 2014, you constructed a fence, correct?
Yeah,
And did you get a permit for the fence?
didn't think I needed one.
Okay, and when you got the notice in 2025 that the fence was also required a permit, why didn't you come into the township and get a permit for the fence?
Didn't think I needed it. It's been over 10 years.
And the carport was constructed when? July
July 4th.
4th, 2025.
Yep.
I believe you said it's movable because you could pick it up and move it,
Yes.
is that correct?
Yes.
And would you agree with me based on the pictures, which you have plenty of pictures here, I thank you for bringing them. So you couldn't get that close up to the property. But if you look at the second one, that's the carport over to the right, correct?
Yeah.
And there's a stone pad was constructed to place the carport on?
That was there.
Okay, but when was the stone pad constructed?
I had a shed there at one time, and that's actually where the camper sat.
And do you have a picture of the shed?
I don't have a picture. Hold on.
Well, let me ask you this while you're looking through your pictures. When you removed the shed, did you get a permit to remove the shed?
No, because it was a mobile structure.
And when you constructed the carport on July 4th, did you get a permit to place the carport?
No, because it was a mobile structure.
And could you show me in the zoning ordinance where it exempts a mobile structure based on what you believe is a mobile structure? Show me in the zoning ordinance, sir, where it doesn't require a permit.
Are you on my turn?
Is there anywhere you can point?
I can't read it.
Well, did you, after you received a notice of violation from the zoning officer, did you call the zoning officer and say, hey, constructed a carport in July of 2025, do I need a permit for my carport?
No. I
Why
got
not?
an attorney.
So instead of getting permits, you hired an attorney. And did your attorney tell you you didn't need a permit?
I'm going to object.
Sustain.
And in terms of the use of the property, sir, I believe your application stated that you occasionally camp on the property, is that correct?
Yeah, we did.
And when did you do it last?
I'm going to say in 2020.
And did you obtain a permit from the township for the use of the property for camping?
I didn't know I had to get a permit to camp on my own property that I pay taxes on.
Well, you don't have a structure on the property, sir. You bring a camper and live in it on weekends, is that correct?
Yeah, but I'm not living here full time.
And you hook it up to electric that's on the property.
There wasn't electric at that time, no.
And when did the electric go onto the property?
I want to say the fall of 2020.
So when you testified that the electric on the property was the electric that was used for the home that was ripped down, that wouldn't be true.
That was not,
Is
that
it?
objection, not testified, but it's witness.
That's my question, sir. You can answer. It's not an objectionable question.
I've objected to mischaracterizing. That was Mr. Karpovich's testimony earlier, not my client's testimony.
Can you just be more concise with it?
Well, Was there electricity when the house was there?
Yes, there was electricity.
And was there electricity when the house came down?
No, it was disconnected.
And then who installed your electric system that's currently there?
I honestly don't know. We have,
Is that it on that telephone pole?
yes,
And what's that wire that's hanging down?
that's
Is that
just,
on like an extension cord?
no, that's not an extension cord.
What's that yellow wire there?
That's a normal wire that you use.
Was that the wire that's connected to the electrical panel?
Yeah, but the power's off on that.
And it's on when you come in and camp?
You can open the panel box and turn things on.
And when you come in and camp, where do you go to the bathroom?
You have a camper.
And does the camper that you go to the bathroom in, is that disposed of on the property or emptied on the property?
No, you go to a transfer station to empty it.
And what transfer station did you go to empty it?
You would go to the one in West Hazelton and Belmont.
I'm not asking where one would go, I'm asking where you went.
That's where I would go.
Do you have receipts?
Do I have a
Do
receipt?
you have any proof here today during your testimony that in fact you were,
From 2020, I don't know if I do.
and I'm a little confused, so you stopped camping in 2020, why was that?
Because I bought a house and also we moved in there and I had, well, and I started dating my wife.
So you're not asking to continue to be permitted to camp on this property, correct?
I didn't know I had to ask to camp on the property.
Well, why is it attached to your appeal as a use?
Because that's what we used it for.
Okay, but why would you attach it if you're not asking for permission to do it? Sir, what's under this carport?
That is 2 horses and a push mower if you need to know to cut the grass.
Okay. You need the horses to cut the grass?
That's if you have a project. Did I not state before?
And I believe you stated that, when was the last time you burnt on the property?
2018, 2020, around there.
And the reason why you burnt back then?
We just burned.
Well, I believe you admitted you did bring some material in that time and did burn it on the
No,
property.
never did.
So the burning that occurred on the property, what was being generated on the property that required you to burn?
Just wood, our cardboard, stuff like that.
But
Normal every day.
that's not being generated normal everyday activity on the property because you don't live on the property. So where was that material coming from that you were burning on the property?
I'm sorry, I'm gonna object. I'm not even clear on the question. We're asking where the wood came from that he burned?
It's sustained, it's outside the scope.
Outside the scope of what? You're talking about burning. The man's admitting he's burning it.
It's
My
outside-
question was...
Just outside the scope for his direct testimony. So I'm just narrowing it to what.
Okay, so we'll finish him and then I'll call him and ask him that question. Is that what I have to do?
No.
We gave him leeway to ask it. The gentleman's saying he was burning on the property. The only thing I'm asking him is where the material that he's burning on came from.
Just,
Is that a...
I'm just gonna object. It's outside the scope. It's irrelevant. He said he burned
Four
wood.
rules
as a
evidence
part-
don't apply. It is relevant. It's part of the use that got us here. If you read the notice of violation, it's part of the use. Sir, let me ask you this. Why do you need 3 burn barrels on the property if you're not burning there anymore?
Sir, I stated to you earlier, 2 are there for storage for my father if they need, and the other one's there for when I was there in 2018.
And now that you don't use them, why do you need to keep them there?
Not allowed to keep it on the property.
Well, if it's used for burning, what other purpose would it have, sir? How does the township gonna police whether or not you burn if we leave you keep burning barrels on the property? Did you answer that? What's ridiculous? The fact that
no,
you're...
So we can't store anything on our property?
Whoa, don't do that again.
Ma'am,
You want to speak, excuse me, you want to speak, you want to make a comment, you get sworn in. You do not swear, you do not, you do not raise your... I'm sorry, you do not raise your voice like that, okay? This...
Well, he's raising his voice
It
like
doesn't, no,
I can't store anything on my property, sir.
let's take 5 minutes, right now, let's take 5 minutes. Cool this place down, okay? And if you want to speak, ma'am, you get sworn in.
Actually, no,
5 minutes, we'll be back.
I'm up at midnight for the rest of the day. I was up at 1:30.
Let me just pull, let me see if I can.
Good seeing you.
I've been laughing because I've been like scooching further and further as this is going. Trying to get it as well.
Yeah, we're putting
Have a good night.
Bob! Bob! Bob!
I'm just at the point where this is enough is enough. Like, come on.
I've seen it more than five. I still have nightmares. Be in 10 places at once. You can't get good care at
Not even $2. Everyone else wins $1,000 and you give it to me and I win Zippo. 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 I told you I have no luck. Seriously. No, what do you think? Check. Sorry.
5 minutes. That's 5 minutes like a movie.
Yeah. Is it 5 minutes yet? It's not 5 minutes, is it? It's not 5 minutes, is it?
No, no.
Somebody's flipping the lights and I'm like,
I was just getting some fresh air.
Should I tell you about this at the yard sale?
no. Hey, you're good money.
Lose weight.
And she put the car.
I know, she lost it and I
So
found
that means you get right on.
Not really.
Building permits, there's like exemptions.
Hey, I was a cheerleader, I could talk, man, I don't even play the phone.
So every zoning
But I'm not
ordinance will
all
have
cheer, so they look
section
good.
in bold basically states
If we
limits
see
of
it from
the
good-
hours.
I know you are.
This is like,
I know very before.
it's like, zoning can break it up. As far as like building permits and things like that, and sewage, they pay for that. They get everything for that.
Suspicion, Karen, that holy
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
I was up there Saturday, and I came home, and they had been going on now. The guy hammered the fish yesterday, and that's nice.
Oh, my God, I mean, seriously, suspicion, like.
Yeah, they're like this, they're 18 pounds. The thing is, you could potentially be variance. That's what, is really like limits. Then you can go to the meeting, then
I'll talk to you about that. I hear you, but I'll talk to you about it.
Everybody back? Everybody back?
No,
No,
Mr.
no,
Carbo
no,
is
they're
not
not
back
back, no,
yet.
they're not back. See, being a cheerleader was good, you can help. Hey, get out of here.
I think I saw him head this way. Let me.
I'm here back.
Get out of my seat. I'll throw you right out of here. No respect for the police in this town. You got a permit? You have a permit for that?
Thank you for taking that on, Frank. I think everybody, we all need to know that here. Okay, moving forward.
Yep, Mr. Good, you're still under oath and you're still testifying as part of cross-examination, correct?
Yes. So the truck that's in the photograph,
Yeah.
is that the truck you use in your business?
No,
What does it say on the side?
J&G hauling, and it says residential and commercial. We can't really read the rest.
And it looks like there's some scrap in the back. Is that your business or you're in the hauling business?
I'm in the hauling business, yeah.
What do you haul? Garbage?
Yeah.
And in addition to the truck, I'm noticing in this photograph, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 trailers parked there.
Yeah.
And what are those trailers used for?
So that one, me and my buddy built, that's to get coal at my house. And then the other one, I use to just pick up stuff when I need to. And the other one's for when I need to haul equipment. And the little one I just bought because I wanted it, and then me and my brother built that other one right there.
And this one that you built here, is this one like more permanent than the other ones are on wheels and there's hitches?
It has wheels.
Yeah, but that doesn't have it. What do you use that for, to store stuff in it?
Just sat it there. If I needed it there, I could use it.
Were you aware of the fact you needed a permit for that?
For a trailer.
Yeah. Or you don't?
It's registered.
So just because it's not
It
registered?
has a plate.
This trailer does?
Yeah, it has a license plate on it.
And if these are used to haul coal, to haul equipment, why are they parked on this property as opposed to your property in regular Greentown?
Yeah.
Why are they up here instead of Greentown?
Because I can't put them all at my house.
Any regret?
No.
Okay. Do you have any more witnesses?
No, it's the only witness I need to call.
Okay. Procedurally, at this point, looking at the enforcement,
burden on
it's
the
your burden on the
enforcement.
enforcement, and then the burden flips to you to rebut it after the burden of production and persuasion is met with a determinable
So,
effect.
just very briefly, I mean, what I didn't bring out during my case in chief, opposing counsel brought out during his case in chief, and that is the fact that you have a property owner here that constructed structures on their property without any permits. Permits are required, it's a violation of the zoning ordinance, and for that use alone, they're in violation. The board should sustain the violations as determined by the zoning officer set forth in the notice of violation on two reasons. One, the structures require permits and they don't have permits. And the second is the use of the property. So there's definitely a use being made of the property, whether he believes it's accessory, residential, or some other use. In either case, they wouldn't be permitted on this particular properties. This property is located in the Conservation Residential District, and in the Conservation Residential District, if they were accessory residential, which I don't think they are, I think everybody here knows what's going on there. He's running the business. You have trucks there, he's in the hauling business. You have trucks coming and going. You have burning facilities on the property. You have trailers on the property that connect to his trucks for the purpose of hauling equipment, garbage, junk, those sort of things. And that's all evidence on this particular property. So whatever the use is he's making of the property, whether it's accessory residential or not, it's still a use that requires a permit. There's no permits here. When asked why didn't he obtain permits, it was to piss off his neighbor. That was his words, not mine. I don't necessarily think they're appropriate words. Nevertheless, that's what he's doing. But aside from that, he is in violation of the ordinance because he didn't obtain any permits. And for that reason, we believe that we've met our burden of proof that under the notice of violation, he's in violation of the zoning ordinance for simply constructing structures and using the property without any permits. Not one permit whatsoever. He's basically thumbing his nose to the township in terms of this, given the fact that he put a structure up as early as July 4th of this year. So he's not making any effort to try to come into compliance with the ordinance. If he was, his lawyer wouldn't be here arguing that he doesn't need a permit for things that under the ordinance he clearly needs a permit for. We define structures as any man-made object having an ascertainable stationary location on land, requires a permit, requires a plan, and he has neither. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to just focus, starting here, on the two issues, the only two issues raised in the enforcement notice. Nothing about burning is raised in the enforcement notice. The only things that raised are first, that there were structures that were added, which we now know are a chicken coop and an entirely movable cardboard type metal thing. And second, that it's a general nuisance, that it could potentially be a fire hazard, that it contains trash and junk. We heard Mr. Karbovich give his opinion that it's not based on any testimony that was heard here tonight that my client is running a business on this property. There is no testimony, there is no evidence that that is the case. What you've heard from my client is unrebutted testimony that there was, that they were camping from time to time 5 years ago. It was asked why they put that in the application. The reason we brought photos that we didn't have to do was to be fully transparent with the township. We have been totally honest about what's going on this property and what it's being used for. They took down a building that was an eyesore, that was a problem. You've heard my client testify, he relied on the representations of the township and on the zoning officers and on the fire department to take down that property at a time that it was dangerous. And since then, they've used it for various purposes. They've camped. They don't need sewage for camping. They don't need some water pit for camping. They've used it in the last 5 years only as a place that he occasionally stores small amounts of stuff. We're not talking about 20 cars. We're not talking about piles of trash. We're not talking about something that's attracting rodents. We're not talking about anything that's creating an actual public welfare problem. What we're talking about is something that a neighbor didn't like. I don't want to speculate as to what those motives are. The reason that we put in our application also a variance is because this is a property that if he was not justified in relying on the statements of the township and what he used it for, if he was not justified in relying on what the township had previously told him he did and didn't need permits for, this is a classic example of a property that we need a variance. This is a property that's surrounded entirely by commercial property, and its only way in is across somebody's property with an easement. And that's the only way that they can get onto this property. He's done something that's entirely appropriate under the Right to Farm Act, that he didn't need a permit for, that he's got, he used chickens for a while, and that they're not even doing right now. The reason we've raised how long all that's been on the property because it's an issue of latches. We've raised that here as one of our substantive defenses. If the township wanted to do something about this, years ago somebody should have told him this wasn't appropriate, after he'd been told it was. Years ago somebody should have brought this enforcement action. He's right. The fact that it's been 2 years and 5 years since some of these changes were made. At that point, this is something that should be considered to be grandfathered and that should be treated appropriately. We're not asking for really any special treatment. We're not asking for anything strange. He doesn't want to expand it and do something different with the property. If there's some permit that the township wants him to submit based on that, then we'll certainly do that, if that will help to resolve the issues. But he shouldn't have to guess. We got a notice of violation about a few things, and we've heard testimony tonight about totally different things. We've heard that he was burning, and that there's other issues. He can't keep guessing as to what he needs a permit for. Putting out a movable structure is not something you would classically need a permit for, and especially where it's entirely accessory to a completely normal farming type use. And we're talking not farming like a bunch, we're talking about something incredibly limited on a property that at this point isn't good for anything else. Essentially, to sustain this violation would be to say that Mr. Good can't use this property for anything until he goes through the process of building a house on the property, which would certainly be a much bigger strain on the area, the neighbors, a much bigger strain on the environmental concerns, and also at this point, based on my reading of the zoning ordinance, might not even be possible based on the restrictions they would place on the building of a house there. For all these reasons, we would ask either one, that the township find that there are no violations, or two, that the alternative grant a variance to say that the way that he's using the property is in conformance with the zoning code. So those are the bases of our objection. I thank you for hearing us tonight. I know it's been a little bit of a heated discussion, but we appreciate your time and listening and hearing us out.
At this time,
Joanne, can I butt in? Sorry.
sure, you could put.
Do we have an affidavit posting from the applicant that's notarized and signed?
No.
Okay. That was my question, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, if it's okay with the board, we're going to adjourn for a couple minutes and make our decision. I don't want to, and the reason I feel this, and hopefully the board feels it, we have 45 days, I think it is, right?
Correct.
To make a decision. And by doing so, we're all here tonight. I don't have to do a special hearing or anything because we're here, so I want to do it tonight because we all are present. And right now, to deliberate something that is fresh in my mind anyway, so I'm
Just to clarify, the record is closed. No further exhibits or evidence or testimony will be taken at this time, and we will be having a brief legal discussion.
Danny, you know how to turn the air off?
I think I just did.
It's still up.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, where did you find another remote? That was missing.
I didn't bring it here.
What do you expect from a lawyer?
You sure it wasn't in your pocket?
Let me know we're back on the record.
Okay, we're back on the record. I'll turn it over to our solicitor.
All right, we're back on the record after a brief legal discussion and review of the zoning ordinance and a review of the facts and the laws presented tonight. I'm going to go through each one of the 5 types of appeals submitted by Mr. Good in turn, and then I'll ask for a motion by the chair and then a vote. First, Mr. Good asked for a variance per section 59 of the zoning ordinance. As stated earlier, applicant failed to meet the elements underneath the zoning ordinance for failure to submit a permit. Had he submitted a permit, there was not enough testimony to bear the burden. It is the burden of proof on Mr. Good to ask for variance. So at this time, I would ask the chairperson to make a motion denying variance.
Do I have a motion? Seconded?
I'll second
Okay, roll call, it would be Carbone?
Aye.
Garbarsky?
it. Aye.
Reckler? Sensi?
Yes.
Shovelin, yes.
Okay.
Motion carried.
Next was an appeal for a special exception for section 1510 of the zoning ordinance. Again, there was no permit submitted, there was nothing in the record to show that a permit was submitted, so the zoning hearing board lacks jurisdiction. Had a permit been submitted, the applicant failed to meet his burden of proof. So I asked the chairperson to make another motion denying that for lack of jurisdiction.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I have a second.
Second.
Roll call, Carbone?
Aye.
Garbarsky?
Aye.
Reckler?
No.
Sensi?
Yes.
Shovelin, yes. Motion carried.
Okay. Next is a review of the decision of the zoning officer, and that is the enforcement action which we debated at length. After a review of the ordinance based upon the facts and evidence submitted today, I'd ask the chairperson to make a motion that they sustain, meaning approve the township's enforcement action and find that Mr. Good had not overcome or had not rebutted the burden that the township did prove that he violated the ordinance. So in essence, Mr. Good violated the ordinance and the enforcement action was appropriate.
Do I have a motion? Carrie. Jim, second. Carrie. Roll call, Carbone?
Aye.
Garbarsky?
Aye.
Reckler?
Aye.
Sensi?
Yes.
Shovelin, yes. Motion carried.
Okay, next is a validity challenge based on substantive grounds per section 1508, subsection A. I ask the chairperson to make a motion to deny such validity challenge based on failure to meet their burden of proof.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second? I'll second it. Carbone?
Aye.
Garbarsky?
Aye.
Reckler?
Aye.
Sensi?
Yes.
Shovelin, yes. Motion carried.
And lastly, validity challenge based upon procedural grounds per section 1508, subsection B. Per the ordinance, I would ask the chairperson to make a recommendation denying such procedural grounds as the applicant has failed to meet his burden of proof.
Do I have a motion? Gary, second.
I'll second it.
Carbone?
Aye.
Garbarsky?
Aye.
Reckler?
Aye.
Sensi?
Yes.
Shovelin, yes. Motion carried.
Okay, those are all the appeals that we addressed, submitted by the applicant today. That concludes our hearing. 45 days, within 45 days, you will see written notice of my decision. Once you receive that decision, you then have 30 days to appeal it to the Court of Common Pleas, should you choose to. If you have any further questions, please reach out to the zoning